monster. Marching, 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 marching. Here comes the big blue monster. Marching, marching, marching. He says, ooh, 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 ooh. Here comes the big blue monster, trying to look so scary. Here comes the big blue monster, trying to look so scary. He lets out a mighty roar. And then he falls asleep. Shh. 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 Here comes the little mouse. Tiptoe, 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 tiptoe. Here comes the tiny little mouse. Tiptoe, 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 tiptoe. And the tiny little mouse tiptoes up to that sleeping blue monster and taps him 3 times. 1, 2, 3.
Excuse me, big blue monster. Would you like to wake up now?
Hey, the big blue monster, yo, it's a big blue yawn, and stretches out his big blue monster paws, and looks down by his big blue monster toe and sees that tiny little mouse. But guess what? That big scary blue monster is very afraid of mice. Now here comes the big blue monster, running from a little mouse. Here comes the big blue monster, running from that little mouse right into his great big house. And the big blue monster runs into his big blue house and slams his big blue door. And just sits there shivering and shaking and so afraid of the tiny little mouse he can barely even move. And the tiny little mouse tiptoes up to the big blue monster's big blue house and knocks on the door 3 times.
Excuse me, big blue monster.
Yes, little mouse.
Would you like to share some ice cream with me?
Now, the big blue monster is very afraid of mice, but he also loves ice cream. So he summons up all his courage and opens his big blue door 1 tiny crack. Creak. Little mouse?
Yes, big blue monster.
What kind of ice cream do you have? Now, what kind of ice cream do you think the little mouse has? Do you think the little mouse has vanilla ice cream? Do you think the little mouse has chocolate ice cream? Any other ideas?
Spaghetti ice cream.
Do you think the little mouse has spaghetti ice cream?
Broccoli ice cream.
Do you think the little mouse has broccoli ice cream? What other kinds of ice cream do you think the little mouse has? Well, guess what? You're not going to believe it. I can barely believe it, and I'm the one telling the story. But the little mouse has every single kind of ice cream you just said. Can you believe it? I can't believe it. So the big blue monster takes his big blue spoon and reaches it through the tiny crack in the big blue door and takes 1 tiny scoop of ice cream. And guess what? It is the best ice cream that big blue monster has ever tasted. Now here comes the big blue monster, walking with the little mouse.